from the past. I hate this guy. He's always wearing those ridiculous Hawaiian shirts.
Hypocritical, knobhead.
Hi mate, how's it going? Like my new Hawaiian shirt? Hey! Yep, I'd rather watch Star Trek Enterprise than speak to you. It's that bad. It's also got hot and smelly since you got here. Right, get out. I need to start filming. Not bad. So, I don't know if you realise the enormity of what I just did there. That's a smart home hub. That little thing, it's not just a control panel, that is an actual smart home hub from Switchbot. It's the Switchbot Hub 3. But I did so many cool things with it in such a short frame of time, you might have missed some of them, and some of them were enormously impressive. Even if I do say so myself.
Such a hypocritical, knobby bell and...
First things first is I created my very own Matter button on that device that could control any Matter device I like, or in fact start any kind of Alexa routine or Home Assistant scene just at the press of that button. In my case, I trained it so that when I press that button, it starts my chill out mode using Home Assistant. But I could have just done the same thing with Amazon Alexa, or in fact Google Assistant, or even Apple HomeKit. The second thing that I showed you is when someone presses my Vision Keypad doorbell button, it makes that thing ring. But then I did something quite incredible. I've put some Python code on my Apple Mac so that it acts as a HTTP server for this thing, so that when Home Assistant sends a HTTP request to my Mac when I press a button, it automatically loads the camera feeds on my Mac. Matter button. Cameras. Go. It's so fast! It's so fast! Cameras. Oh my goodness. And listen, I appreciate all it's doing right now is switching tabs, but it's sending the request across the network to get to my Mac. That's, if I close the software, right, and then do the exact same thing, it launches the software. That's just the best thing. I don't know if anyone understands what I just did, but my smart home is loading programs on my Mac right now. How good is that? There's a link in the description to the instructions if you want to know how to do this, but yeah, I can't believe I just achieved that. My head not explode? No mate, I've told you before, I don't have time to edit it, and yes, I'm wearing another Hawaiian shirt. You're gonna have to get your finger out, man. You moan about this every... Make my head explode. Fine. 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 Thanks to Switchbot for sponsoring today's video and for sending me their Switchbot Hub 3. This is a doorbell chime, an alarm clock, a Matter-enabled smart hub that can control literally any smart home device you own, and I think a lot of other YouTubers have entirely missed the simple fact that this device can control up to 30 separate devices that aren't connected to it via Amazon Alexa routines, or Google Assistant, or Apple HomeKit, or in my case, Home Assistant. This is mind-blowingly good. This is as mind-blowing as Timu's version of Aladdin.
I can show you a world, maybe a genie or something, flying carpets and stuff, yeah, in
afford. Aladdin. And Betty and the Beast. Next up is some far more basic functionality where basically I can press a little button on the keypad and it will lock and unlock my front door because it's built-in functionality. I have a Switchbot lock and I have a Switchbot Hub 3. The two things just pair together and you can add that to your front screen. After that, I started my Fire TV stick, which is mind-blowing. I didn't ever think I'd be able to do that. It also works with Apple TV if you have an Apple TV and an Nvidia Shield and Google TV. It kind of works with almost any streamer. If you have a streamer for your TV, you can actually control it with this hub. And you might be thinking, what's this big chunky thing? But if you have a desk like mine and you have a TV near your desk, it's actually really, really handy to be able to control the volume. And I've actually been able to control the volume of my TV instead of the volume of the Fire TV stick because you can program that dial to control your infrared commands for your TV remote instead if you want to. Dude, stinks.
I'm gonna let y'all take that.
Next up, I controlled my aircon using its built-in infrared blaster because I've been able to actually train it up using the original aircon remote. And then finally, back in the matter panel, I was able to switch scenes to studio mode so I could start filming to talk to you guys. And that once again just sent a matter request to Home Assistant, so I could have used Amazon Alexa or Google Home or Apple HomeKit instead, to start a routine of completely different third-party smart home devices that aren't related to Switchbot at all. Wow! Wow!
Wow!
This thing has a light sensor built in, so it can detect the amount of light in a room, a motion sensor to detect as you walk into the room, it's got a temperature sensor, a humidity sensor, and all of these things are advertised to Amazon Alexa and Google Home and Apple HomeKit via Matter so that you can use them in routines using those ecosystems if you don't want to use the Switchbot ecosystem. This thing is one of the sexiest smart home hubs I have seen yet, and I'm actually keeping it. A lot of stuff I get sent, I think, yeah, it's pretty cool, and I tell you guys about it, and then it goes to a friend's house or it goes in the loft because I don't have endless space. This is staying on my desk. This is a really, really cool device. Not only because it's got these buttons, but because of that incredible dial that I've talked about already. They're calling it the Dial Master. Why, they seem to have missed the opportunity to call it the Dial of Destiny.
Took something else from your apartment. It was under the bed.
Thanks, Solar.
What? So I wanted to take you guys very quickly through the app. So you've obviously got things like your temperature and your humidity and your light level all got from this thing. You've got any of your infrared appliances that you've added. I've added my air conditioner. You could add all sorts of stuff, TVs, lights, streamers, set-top boxes, fans, anything really that has an infrared remote, and of course others where you can actually train it up from scratch. You've then got displayed info, which is where you can set things like whether it's got your weather data. So it's all really customizable. You can change all these things quite easily, and whether or not to show the lock status of your Switchbot lock if you've got a Switchbot lock. Customized shortcuts lets you alter these buttons along here. Under customized shortcuts, you can add whatever it is you have got in your Switchbot app, and that includes things like your Fire TV. If you've been able to add your Fire TV, which you should be able to. I've got things like my kids blind, the Switchbot Lock Ultra, Fire TV, my air conditioner because I added that. So you add your devices first and then you decide what your shortcuts are going to be. In order to add a device, you just go into Devices and Scenes and then Manage Your Devices. And the little plus button up here will give you the option to either import your existing appliances from your Switchbot stuff, or third-party control, which is Apple TV, Fire TV, Chromecast, Roku, or Bluetooth Classic Beta, which supports the Nvidia Shield. You can also have it alert you to stuff, so you've got an alert conditions under the settings where you can have alarm sounds come on when the temperature is below or above a certain threshold, or the humidity, or the dew point alert, or the VPD alert, whatever VPD is. That sounds weird.
You took something else from your apartment.
And finally, the only other thing I think is of interest is the chime feature, where you can pick whatever it is that's going to set the chime going. In my case, it's the keypad Vision that's on the front of my house. You could use the Switchbot upcoming doorbell, which is on its way, and if you use that, you'd be able to set that to make this chime. Okay, bring in the elephants. Yep, that's it. Bring them in. There are a few of them. Don't take this to heart. I am keeping this device, as I said, so it really can't be that bad. But the actual setup of the individual devices onto this thing is quite complicated. So first of all, if you want to just set up any smart home device you want, you need to have it added to something like Amazon Alexa or Google Home or Apple HomeKit or Home Assistant. Once they're in those ecosystems, you need to create a dummy device inside the Switchbot ecosystem that creates a button on the screen, and then use Matter to get that dummy device into either Apple HomeKit or Home Assistant or whatever it is you want to use, and then use that as the trigger for a routine to set those devices running, and then you can press that button on the Switchbot Hub 3 to trigger those ecosystems to get those devices to do their things. That on its own is reasonably complicated to wrap your head around, but getting to the right menus in the Switchbot app to set that up, they're buried so deep that you would think that Switchbot had murdered them and were hiding them from the police. It's insanity. This isn't a tutorial video, and you will be able to figure this out if you're into smart home stuff already. It's not mega complicated. It's not like you have to write scripts. It's all GUI based. You're just going through the menus and finding the right things and sticking them in. You'll figure it out. In a similar vein then, you can't use the dial to control anything outside of what Switchbot have preordained you will be able to control. So it can control things like your Apple TV volume up and down. It can control my infrared volume up and down on my TV because I was able to program it to do that. You can control things like your aircon, all things that are within the Switchbot ecosystem, and those things are controllable within the Switchbot ecosystem. If you are hoping to control your Philips Hue light bulb via Matter, it can't do that. You can turn it on and off because you have a button for controlling it on and off. You just can't control the brightness using the dial. So you can't control anything for brightening or dimming outside of Switchbot. If you were hoping to do that through Amazon Alexa or Home Assistant or Apple HomeKit, you can only do on-off buttons. You can make scenes run. You can't use the dial to alter brightness. Next up then, although the Dial of Destiny although the Dial of Destiny is an up, down, left, right, and a button for pressing OK and a thing for twisting, and that's really cool, the screen above it isn't a touchscreen. And that's really kind of annoying because you find yourself wanting to press on the things on the screen, and of course, it doesn't do anything. Instead, you have these like little LEDs, and there are 4 of them, and they are touch pressure points. And as soon as you touch them with your finger, they do whatever the icon is above the touch pressure point. If it was a touchscreen, it would be far nicer, but it isn't. You kind of have to go through to the right menu and press these little LEDs to select the things above them. Yeah, I guess that was just worth mentioning. Kind of related to that, I want to be able to control my aircon from the main screen just by turning the dial. I can't. I have to go into the aircon menu and then start turning the dial. It just seems like a bit of a waste. The same is true of the buttons. The buttons don't do anything other than take you into menus. You use the button to get into the right menu, then you can use the buttons and the dial. Just a bit of a waste of a default screen. At time of filming. If that changes, I'll let you know in the description. And finally, for me, the doorbell is hugely delayed. They've blamed my distance. They've said that's probably it. It's there and it's there. So I mean, the doorbell and the thing are very, very close. That ain't it. I have to tell you my experience. I'm an honest reviewer, and that's my experience. That the doorbell, it takes about maybe 8 to 10 seconds from being pressed to going bing bong. I think that's a bit of a shame. And similarly, at least at time of filming, the Switchbot Hub has a little icon on it to tell you whether or not your Switchbot lock is locked or unlocked. In my case, every time I unlock the door, I get a little notification to say it's unlocked, but it only lasts a few seconds before it switches back to saying it's locked, even though the thing is still unlocked in real life. They are looking into that right now, but, you know, that's a thing that doesn't work right this second. This is currently 110 quid to buy. It's got a motion sensor built into it, it's got a temperature and humidity sensor, it's a Bluetooth hub for Switchbot products, of which you can now, by the way, add up to 30 of them as Matter devices to Apple HomeKit. So if you were looking as an Apple HomeKit user to get Switchbot, now is the time. It's a Matter bridge, an infrared blaster, and most importantly, it's a physical controller for almost all smart home devices. As usual, there are links in the description if you want to pick one up. All that's left to do is to thank these incredible people as I do every week. They are my patrons from Patreon, without whom I would still be working in a call center. If you want to be like those guys, or the person I am thanking personally this week, which is Stuart Ryder, my latest patron, you can do that at either PayPal if you want to buy me a one-off beer, or Patreon if you want to support me long-term. Either way, I will genuinely love you forever. These are my Facebooks and my X, my Threads, and my Instagrams, and my TikToks. Come and hang out there, it can be best friends. See you next time.